Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Just Between Us. I am Batsheva Hart.
And I'm Dominique Perkowski.
And we're so happy to be back.
Yeah!
Again. In New York. In the fall.
Still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
Still September.
I mean, it's still warm outside. I'm like kind of excited. There was a meme that I put up on my stories recently, which was like, I love fall because the best plot twists come in like the last end of the year.
Is it not crazy that we have like 3 more months?
It's been
I've loved this year.
I have loved this year. All the stuff on my pattern this year too was like ultimate abundance.
Wow.
It's gonna be your best year yet. And so I think it kind of put me in that mentality. But like it's just been I know that like when you live in New York, I know this for myself. Because it's so fast paced and you're going at such a fast pace, it feels like time is going so quickly. The 3 months that I went away, it felt like a lifetime.
Really?
I feel
a lifetime.
Yeah,
Okay.
it felt like this year has been the longest year of my life. I can't believe that at the start of this year we like sat next to each other and we're like, let's do a podcast, and now we're like finishing. Well, not
Crazy.
finishing it, but like on.
We're making it happen.
Yeah.
That's the power of just like. Well, this will come into today's podcast episode, which is about feminine and masculine energy and the power of self-discipline.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we're going to start a podcast because we want to. And was it like we did consistent meetings leading up to it and then like figuring out timing to film? Like, did we do it back to back? No, but we showed up every single time. And here we are still following that dream and that hustle.
And I think that we figured out a way for us to do it in the way that we wanted to do it together. But like one of the things that I'll say that I really love through this process in the like sense of like discipline and flow, which is like masculine energies typically. And when we talk about masculine energy, for anybody who's like new to the spiritual space, it has nothing to do with male and female.
No.
It is like yin and yang. It's like 2 different energies that you can use to balance, you know, life and co-create with the universe, if you want to say, or co-create with life the things that you want to. And in some cases, when you're manifesting something or when you're like wanting to create a vision for yourself, you need the structure, you need the discipline, you need, you know, strategy, which is the masculine energy, and then you need creativity, you need flow, you need intuition, which is the more feminine energy. And I'll just say about us, I'm a double Capricorn. So at the start, I don't know if you probably remember this, I came in and I was like how do we plan it? What do we do?
I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, and that was so flowy. And I was like, you know what? Like, I love this energy because I came into it. I've never done a podcast before. Like, I've been on podcasts before. Yeah. You've done your own. Mm-hmm. And so I came in being like, okay, how do we structure this? How do we do this? How do we do that? And you were kind of like, Dom, it's like, okay, like let's just flow into it. And I was like, you know what? I love this. Like, let's do that.
But we still showed up. We still are like, I think it's been like a good like balance of us like sticking to our goals.
Yeah.
But then also not being rigid on ourselves because this is a passion project for us. And it's been really wonderful. So I'm excited.
I'm really excited. I'm really happy with the way that this went. I think that we had the perfect amount of balance and structure and creating something that we really wanted to do that was outside of like, you know, our classic businesses and structures.
Yeah. So how do you feel like you're a founder?
Yeah.
So how do you feel like you play into your masculine and feminine roles?
Such an amazing question. So I use the same work that I teach like my clients, which is essentially like when my clients come to me to do work, I teach them a strategic method of meditation, which helps us rewire our mind. And then I do what I like to call a vision blueprint, which is like a strategy for your life. And so like when I'm strategizing my life or my business, I have like the Excels, I have the plans, I have all of that. But in the meantime, I'm also reflecting week by week, which to me is like the flow, the feminine flow of it, because your mind creates expectations, structure, strategy. Like your ego usually comes up with that. And then in the meantime of like you creating whatever you want to create for yourself, there might be an insight that will lead you to a higher, they say timeline, but like a higher ideal, a higher thing that you want for yourself. And so I'm always like doing both. I live by the structure. I live by my intentions. But then in between, if there's something that I'm like looking at that I'm like, I actually like this option more, I trust that. And that's more of the feminine flow of it. And that's where all the insights and beautiful realizations and things you couldn't possibly control and plan start to come in.
How so?
Like, let me think of an example. Like this podcast.
Right.
Like, I couldn't have possibly planned out this podcast. Like, in all of my like, I knew I wanted to do a podcast, and I don't know if we talked about this already, but I manifested doing it with you. Like, it came so perfectly in my head at some point of last year where I was like, I want to do a podcast, I want to do it with a friend, and I want to be able to talk about the stuff that I want to talk about, but I didn't want to do it by myself.
Right.
And like, I had, I had business plans for like my own programs. I had business plans for other stuff that was coming in, but all of like the best stuff that came in for me this year, which, some of the opportunities that have come in for me this year, that was unplanned.
Right.
And so that also requires time. And so if I was like so structured in my masculine, which is like the strategy and the action steps and all of that, I might have said to this podcast, no, I'm not going to do this because it's not part of the strategy and plan. But this was a higher ideal. This was something that I was really excited to do. So I decided to follow it.
Yeah. And I think that it like comes into like being something I've been practicing is like receiving and not tying yourself like too much to a structure or a goal, because it's important to have those like masculine goals and like strive to them and take the steps. But also I feel like sometimes you close yourself off from other beautiful opportunities because you're like, that's not how I think it's going to go. Yeah. But then when something's like dropped in your lap, or when you pull back the reins, just like, no, release the reins a little bit and let yourself go a little bit more, then you're like, wait, you have room for new ideas to come in, new opportunities to flow to you. Yeah. And this is all me speaking from like something I'm currently working on within my work, because I feel like I think I know what's working, but then I'm like, maybe I should try something else. And instead of being like, I've been told by like my like, she's not actually a therapist, she's kind of more like my spiritual like guru girl. She's like, don't be so fucking rigid on your manifestation. She's like, let there be room for beauty. Yeah. And I think as like, you're in a different space, but we're both like female like entrepreneurs in our own right, and you have to be masculine, like in order to show up, in order to get clients, in order to like make that money, you need to bring in that energy. But at the same time, if you're too rigid on that, then you sometimes lose other opportunities, or like you don't even let the universe bring them to you because you're so closed off to what you think is meant to happen. Yeah. So like in my programs, I like talk about this a little bit, or like when I do it more in the muses, but when it comes up in like one-on-one coaching, I'll also share it. Do you want to share what the muses is? People? So the muses is a coaching program that I hold like twice a year, which is like held for a small group of women that brings my one-on-one coaching work to women to share how you can essentially like follow your intuition. And it shows the same work that I do within my one-on-one coaching, which is like the meditation framework, and then also the the life strategy method that I share. And it's an inspiring group of women that like I bring like creatives, founders, really ambitious women together to share this work, and so that they can inspire each other and also like build out their visions through this method. So I'm really excited for it. But like in one of the sessions, I like talk about feminine and masculine energy. And the whole purpose of the meditation practice that I share, it's so that you understand your inner wisdom. It's so that you understand what your intuition sounds like, who you really are, what your energy is, and who your authentic self is, without the energies of others, without like the beliefs of others, without like all of this like sometimes this energy feels like a emotional it's a lot. Thing that you're carrying. But the best way to follow when you're meant to be in masculine and feminine energy is listening to your gut about it, right? Yeah. So it's like and I don't think that everyone always understands what that actually looks like. Yeah. Because I feel like people don't let themselves sit in their brain at all, and that's why like meditation is so beautiful, because it causes you to like, when you feel like you have like a download or a thought that you're able, and maybe we can like, I don't know the right words to describe download. To me, downloads is something when like you're not actually thinking, but a thought comes like enters your brain instead of you searching for it. Is that like a good way to describe it? So downloads usually happen in a bit of space. I remember when I first started getting downloads, I didn't even realize I was getting them. Like my friends, my friends at the time, they were very like psychically intuitive. One of them was like, a psychic guide, like, and they were very intuitive, and they would always talk about getting downloads. And I was like, God damn it. Like, I want to get a download too. I want to get a download too. And then I was like, but what I experience it as, it's a surge of instant ideas. Like, so I had this thing a while back that it was a business idea that I thought of bringing like a bunch of meditation coaches together and like sharing this work in a more relatable lens. And that came in as a download. The whole like plan and idea, it was like nearly everything just came to me in an instant.
And then I've had downloads for my Master Your Mindset program, immediate download. I had a download for another concept that I had. It's like a solution handed to you. And it's, for me, it was like now it becomes the entire thing is handed to me at once.
That's amazing.
And it's like, there's no forcing it. There's no like pushing it, but it happens in like the solo time of like feminine energy of like, that's
and also
where
you're open to it. You're
and
not shut off from receiving some wisdom.
Yeah. And it's also not bogged down by your fears. So I think that you were talking about this where like you're pushing against the reason why it's so important to listen to your intuition and listen to your body when you are creating something and building something out for yourself. It's because when you are like in your masculine too much, which is like you're pushing more than you're receiving, because feminine is like more receiving and being, whereas masculine is like the doing energy of doing it. When you're doing that, you can actually start hitting too much resistance, and then you can obviously burn yourself out, stress out too much. You're not giving yourself enough space for just ease and like receiving these like ideas. And so like listening to your intuition of like when am I hitting resistance? When am I getting frustrated in the process? When am I doing this? And can I take a little bit of space back and reconnect? Another really important thing, especially in business, reconnect to the purpose of what you're doing. Are you just doing it for the result? Is there a greater purpose to what you're doing? And reconnect to the joy of that experience. Like I'm doing my calls for the muses right now. And oh my God, like letting go of the outcome of the result of whether the person signs on to the program or not. And just sitting there and giving them a call.
Yeah.
And like seeing their face light. I was on the phone with Beck yesterday. Seeing their face light up, hearing about their vision, helping them like move through their own fears, seeing how passionate they are. Like that, I'm going to go, like it lights me the F up. I get so excited.
And it's beautiful that you like get to see. I always think of the people who like, you are changing people, like the doctors who like, give someone a nose job or you give someone like a haircut. And it's like you get to reframe people in a different way, like through like their energy. And I always think that's like so cool to see those transformations like in real time.
Yeah. Oh my God. I feel so blessed because I get an insight into people's like true heart dreams that I think like we walk around in life and we think that like we're kind of in our own heads. So we don't know that people are dealing with the same stuff that we are. And then I get insight to these beautiful goddamn dreams that these people have and these fears that like I know that they feel really, really real, but they're not. And there's a system and there's a methodology to move through them. And once you understand it, it's easier to move through them. And then I get to support people bringing their like beautiful visions to life. It's just like I'm talking a little bit about my like work, but it's like so heart opening. It's like so amazing.
And I think that if you make the space for having those like ideas come to you is when you like get the most like excitement out of it and stop being. Also, I think as women, I feel like I'm sure majority of our listeners are female.
Yeah.
I think that we sometimes feel like we need to show up like, I don't want to say, because when we're talking about feminine and masculine energy, we're not talking about men and women.
Yeah, exactly.
But we do feel the need to compete and show up. And we do have different abilities than men have. And our brains maybe work differently. So I think being able to use like your feminine energy that comes more naturally to you, but then learning how to balance that with your masculine energy that maybe you need to try harder to gravel onto.
Yeah.
But then once you have it, sometimes you don't want to let go of it.
Yeah.
And I think finding like a balance between when to turn on both those energies to your greatest and be your greatest ally is like something that I like personally struggle with, like learning when to pull back and when to push harder, and knowing that like, you don't have, it's a journey.
Yeah,
we'll all get there.
It's also all a practice of self. No one can tell. The hard part is that there's no like, there's no like
personal
procedure.
guide.
There's nobody that's going to tell you, when you've pushed too far because you reach the point where you start to get frustrated. When it's time to pull back because you are like burning, like you're either burning out or you're like not having fun or whatever. And it like, that's also, we talked about upper limit last time, but that's also a sign. Like, when does your joy stop? Like, can you recreate it? Can you take some space back to recreate it? But you were saying something where you were saying it has nothing to do with male and female. I'll say a lot of the women that come to me are really in their masculine energy.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like naturally, I'm the same. With dating as well.
Yeah.
Like I had to really practice the past like 6 months to not be in my masculine energy with dating, because to me, I like to pursue, I like to chase, I like to like go up to a guy,
and it's like action. You're taking the action. And then like I was the same way, or like not I wouldn't say that I would be the one to pursue, but I would be the one that like I guess had too much impatience during the process. So I would be like, hey, do you want to go do, or like maybe not even impatience, but it would be like I'd be texting them being like making all the plans. I'd be like, do you want to go hang out with my friends? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I didn't even realize while I was doing that like there wasn't any space for him to like plan. There wasn't any of that. And I don't know whether with the people that I'm thinking of that I dated, I don't even know if they would have stepped up, or if I just wasn't giving them the space to do it, and they got really comfortable in that. And then they were kind of in their feminine because they're like, oh, she's doing all the things, so I don't have to do it. And I see a lot of women come into this work, I know it from my own personal experience, over functioning in every area of life, like literally thinking about what their kids need, what their husband needs, what their partners need, what their friends need, what this needs, and like having a really hard time asking themselves, what do I need, and like where do I find that support?
I think we all show up in different ways, like and like we balance it out differently. But I think like specifically, like you were saying, with like a lot of women that you speak to, like they're in their masculine energy, and like because we're like, we know what we want. Yeah. We know how to get it. But at the same time, we want the relationships where we don't have to be turned on all the time in terms of like working. You want to be turned on all the time when you're dating someone. Love that. But we don't want to like feel like we're working hard for it. We want to be able to like sit back and let someone take care of us as well. Yeah. And I think that's really hard when especially you have your own business and you're like kind of taught that you need. And then at the same time, we have men who are like, they're scared to make moves. Yeah. They're scared to show up in that way because it's just, it gets confusing, the world we live in, and like learning how to balance those two places.
I will say that I think everybody's like perspective to relationships in life is different. And I think it's very unique to everybody. So like, you know, some people who might not be, for us, I'll say specifically, like I'm running my business, and so I have to, for my clients, I have to be on it. Like, you know, I'm not gonna come into a session with a client with my own the BS and be like woo-hoo. So I know that I need to have friendships and relationships, and like my closest people to me need to be able to like give equally, reciprocally that to what I'm giving, right? Because I'm not going to show up like always at my best to those relationships. I might be depleted, I might be this, but not everybody's like that. Sometimes people get a purpose of like giving to their relationships, and that's okay too. Right. It's just like more of a where do you then go to like receive? Because the masculine, like we were talking about, is the discipline, is the giving, is the doing, is the action, is the energy giving out. And then the feminine is more of the receiving from the things that you love, receiving creative downloads, receiving insights. And you have to have both. Everybody says, like every spiritual text says, giving and receiving is the same thing of the different coin. You give, but don't block the receiving as well, which is something that I find a lot of us do.
I mean, that's something I definitely have been like actively trying to work on myself. And even in this new like dating situation, it's like learning to like take a step back and let someone do something for you, and kind of what you said before, give them the space. Yeah. Like even like as simple as opening the door. Yeah. Like could I open all of my own doors? Absolutely. Do I give him the space to like, do I pause a beat to give him the chance to open the door for me? Yes, I certainly do. But that's a choice that I have to think about in the moment and be like, how do I want to show up right now? Do I want the norm to be like, no, I got it? Or do I want the norm to be like, let me let you take care of me?
This brings up a really interesting point, which is I think that a lot of the inability to receive or not receiving in your own life comes from a fear that you won't receive if you open the door to it. And I'll tell you, whoever's listening to this who has a fear of not receiving, you will receive. You just have you have to have the patience, and whatever anxiety or fear comes up, it's depends. Like, you know, maybe it is in a maybe in certain relationships you'll see that you aren't the one that's receiving, but you'll notice that in other relationships that person steps up. Right. And when you're always giving and trying to avoid the fear of somebody not giving back to you, you actually end up attracting people who might potentially not give back to you.
Who won't give back to you. Yeah. No, literally, that was like me. I think I always felt the need, like I didn't want someone. I want to say, I don't want them to hurt me. But not only that, I'm like, I don't trust that you're gonna show up in the way that I'll be happy. Like, I don't trust that you're going to plan the vacation that like I'm going to enjoy. So I'd rather just plan it myself.
Yeah.
Whereas like giving someone the opportunity to prove you, not even prove you wrong, but to like show up in the way that you want them to, it's kind of scary because you're relinquishing that control into someone else's hands. But it's also like the easiest way and the best way to receive something is because you're like, I trust you to handle this. And I think the same thing goes with like God, the universe, whatever you want to call the higher power, is like you have to go into the unknown a little bit to receive the most beautiful things.
Oh my God, so true. Pop off, universe, kid. Like, I love it. I love it. No, it's so true. And it's like, you know, I think it comes from self-security. Like, I say this all the time, like, the goal of giving is to go give from an overflow of abundance. Like, it's to fill yourself up so fully to as much as you can with the things that you love, or like regulating your nervous system or your friendships or something. Or the things, you know, the things around you that fill you up, filling yourself up so that you can give from overflow, not self-sacrifice. And that way, when you're, you know, I'm giving a practical example of what you were talking about, when you're like dating somebody and you're like waiting for them to receive, that self-security, that foundation is really important, because you're kind of like, okay, this is an added benefit to my life. Like, I'm so full and stable that if you don't give me this, I know what decision to make from this, if it's something that's like a part of my values and something that I really want in my life. And if not, like, I'm not going to feel like it's the end of the world. Yeah. I'm going to feel secure within myself as it happens.
And that's because you've done like your own personal growth on yourself to know that like you don't have the scarcity or lack mindset that like if this doesn't work out with this person, like it's over.
Yeah. That's
like,
why I leave everything, and I'm like, I love that person. I love what they're killing it in their own way. I love them.
I really describe dating as like a Build-A-Bear moment. Because you're like, okay, like this from this guy I dated. I learned that I like to do that with that guy, and then it's like you're able to like manifest what you want, like a better picture of what you enjoy because you've had these different experiences. And I know this is like not really on topic, but a little bit. I was listening to this other podcast. I forgot what it's called, but when I was going through my healing love era, and she was just like, the best way to date is dating. The mindset should only be dating for growth, not for outcome.
Ooh, that's a good quote.
And I just like try to remind myself those moments when I feel myself spiral or whatever. I'm just like, I'm just dating for growth. Like, I'm learning here. So if you're in a situation where you're dating someone new and you want to be in your feminine energy, like give them the space to give to you, even when that feels really, really scary because you're like releasing that control to them. But that's like the beautiful feminine dynamic that you can live in.
And I'll say that also in career, like give it, like there's goals, there are results, there's things that you're trying to hit, there's milestones. Keep like, so the discipline aspect that we were talking about before, it's about honoring that strategy. It's about showing up to that strategy, making sure that that strategy isn't like not humanly possible to, and if it is, being very aware of the fact that it's not humanly possible. That's a lot of things that I see. People come in and they like set these huge expectations for themselves that do not create sustainable results.
That is like, I think the worst. That's something like I've had to work on myself, because I think like
the to-do list is like
the to-do list is way too big. And then once you don't,
you feel bad.
Exactly.
And it's not humanly possible. And like you're already like existing at a rate that is like not humanly possible, and then you feel bad about yourself because you didn't do everything on the to-do list, and it's like it's just not.
And then you're also training your brain that you don't finish tasks. So like the better thing to do, like a tip for you guys if you're looking to work on your self-discipline and like tune into your energies, is when you're making yourself a checklist, make sure that like you actually know you have time to do it in that day, so that you show up for yourself every single day. Because if you are not showing up for yourself, how could other people show up for you? And how are you telling the universe and all the things coming to you that you're going to show up? Like, maybe make it, instead of 4 things to do that day, maybe make it 3. And if you have time for the 4th, cool. You don't feel that pressure, because then when you check it off, like you know you can do it, and you're more likely to finish your tasks when you don't have a lofty, crazy goal. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you took some tips and tricks for yourself on how to stay on your tasks and how to really like live in the ultimate power of balancing your feminine and masculine energies within yourself.
Yeah. Really love the conversation. Stay dedicated to your goals, but bring in some of that ease to it too. It's really, really nice when you can balance the two for yourself, and only you can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys can follow me at Butchava Heart on all the platforms.
And you can follow me at Dominique Prakowski on all the platforms.
Yay.
Right,
Thanks
bye,
for
everybody.
listening. Bye.